Welcome to PR Powerhouse, helping female entrepreneurs to get in the press and to gain PR. I'm Jo Swan, and I'll be sharing how to harness the power of the media to boost your credibility and business visibility, no matter what stage in business you're at. Because I'm on a mission to show you that PR is not just for the big boys. In this show, you'll learn how to reach out to journalists and own your place in the press, because you are ready to become a PR powerhouse. Hello, and welcome to episode 17. Today, we are dealing with something quite traditional in the world of PR, and we are talking about the press release. And the question that I'm going to ask today is the press release dead? Now, the press release is one of the first things that you learn about when you start to learn about PR, like when you're taught PR. In uni, in college, in any courses, like the press release is kind of one of the things that people think PR is actually. Like a lot of people think PR means press release. Obviously it doesn't. PR means public relations, and PR is about so much more than a press release. But actually a press release is a really fundamental part of your kind of PR toolbox. But it's something that has been a part of the PR toolbox for some years. And there's a few conversations out there about whether or not the press release is dead, because it is an old tool. It is something that has been used for many, many years. And often people like to change things up. They like to think, we need something new now. We need the next thing. We need the current way to communicate with the media. And so often people are always looking for that next kind of activity, that next buzzword, that next way of doing things. And that does sometimes mean that they start to discount old traditional forms of doing things. But is that right? Is that really the right thing to do, to discount it just because it's old? I'm thinking perhaps not. So today I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to share with you my 5 reasons why I do not believe the press release is dead. Now, the reason this episode has come about is actually because we are in the middle of teaching one of our cohorts how to write press releases. So it is very much still a part of our programs, of our training, of the way that we help people communicate with the media. So our Dare to Be Seen program at the moment, which is our PR accelerator, where we help people go from being an absolute PR novice and having no clue to getting published, usually within 8 weeks. We teach them the processes to enable them to be PR ready and to get press friendly. And the press release is still a fundamental part of that training. So I suppose I've kind of been thinking about it as we've been doing that training and thinking, do you know what? We've been teaching this for years, but actually every time we teach it, it still reminds me how powerful it is and actually what a great resource it is and what job it is doing. So today I thought I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to talk about the power of press releases, and we're just going to go into some PR fundamentals, because that's what this is. It's real PR foundation stuff. And I think once you master writing a press release, then it really can help you communicate what you've got to say to the media. Now, obviously in this podcast, I can't actually tell you how to write a press release because the format doesn't quite work for that. But what I'm going to share with you are 5 reasons why I think a press release is powerful, so that you could then, I suppose, convince yourself of the value of then learning how to write a press release. Okay, so number one reason why the press release is not dead is because it still does its job. So a press release still does its job, does the job that it always did. And the job that it always did is it's a useful tool for the media. So it's a useful way to provide your story on a plate for the media. And this hasn't changed because the media still write in the same way. Journalists still write in the same way. And a press release is still a perfect way of you presenting your story to them on a plate. So what we've got to do when we're talking to journalists, and you will know this if you have listened to a few of these episodes by now, is we've got to make their lives really easy. We've got to hand the content to them on a plate, ready-made, ready to roll. And that means literally writing it as they would write it. So when you're taught how to write a press release, you're taught effectively how to write like a journalist, and you are writing as if they are writing the article. So you're writing it from their perspective. You're writing it in third party as if they've already written it about you. So you're not saying, I did this, I did that. You're saying, Sarah did this, Sarah did that, as if they have interviewed you, as if, that's the ready-made piece at the end of it. So the press release still achieves that job of you presenting your story to them on a plate, and that its usefulness has not changed, even though Over the years, yes, there are many other ways that you can communicate with people, but this still fundamentally delivers because it provides your story in a format they like to receive it in. And the benefit of that is basically that you can provide your story ready written so that they can literally just lift it. And that's the dream. That's what we want. We want the journalist to copy and paste the content that you have provided so that they can just run with it really quickly. So that's number one. The press release absolutely still does the job it was created for. The number two reason why I love press releases is because they make you press ready. And what I mean by this is when you're crafting your press release, you need to write it in a certain way. And to write it in a certain way, you've got to really understand what your story is. And you've got to really challenge yourself on if that story is strong enough or not. So when you're pulling together a press release, there's a certain format to it. There's certain requirements that need to go in that press release. And obviously you're positioning it as a story, as something that is beneficial to those readers. So it's got to have something that's new in it, or it's got to have something that's exciting in it. It's got to have something that's inspirational or motivational or different. So you need to find those hooks. That's what they're called, hooks, those different angles. You need to find those things, and actually trying to write it out in a press release. It often uncovers kind of gaps in your story, or gaps in how you're presenting your story, or gaps in your campaign that you can then go away and fill. When we've worked with big clients before and they're trying to come up with a new campaign, this is sometimes what we do. We use a press release as the way of sense checking that campaign. And we write the press release, and then if we feel like it's not strong enough, if we feel like it's not going to stand up to the so what test, then we have to layer it and we have to put some more in there. We have to think of other angles. We have to think, well, how could we make this more interesting, more different, more unique, more of value? So it's a really powerful tool to make you challenge yourself to see if your story is strong enough. Because when you present a press release to a journalist, what they are asking in their heads when they read it is, so what? And you've heard me talk about this before. That's their way of challenging your content. If they can say, so what, after they've read a paragraph, then they're not going to get any further. So the first paragraph of your press release has got to be super, super powerful. It's like your elevator pitch. It's like that I am and I so that statement where you are telling them in an absolute nutshell everything that they need to know. So it's super, super important to get to the point in a press release and to really make sure that that first paragraph is super strong. If it's not strong, you're not there yet, and you need to think about what else needs to go into that story to make you press ready. Now, I know I'm not going to teach you how to write a press release, but I will just skim over the things that need to be in it. So especially in the introduction paragraph, we need all the details. So what you're taught when you're writing a press release is to include the 5 W's. And the 5 W's include who, what, where, when, and why. Basically, you've got to answer those questions so that the journalist has got enough information in that first paragraph to understand what your story is all about. So they've got to understand who you are. And when I'm saying who you are, I don't mean Joe Blogs, like you don't put your name in necessarily as who you are, because unless you're super famous already, that's not going to mean anything to them. So when you're talking about who you are, you need to do that in a descriptive way. So that might be a global coach, or it might be a mum of 2. It might be, if you're writing for local press, you want to say that you are a local mum of 2. You might say that you're an international speaker or a best-selling author. So the who is the descriptive part, rather than saying, hi, I'm Joe Blogs, because Joe Blogs they don't care about. But actually, if you're describing who you are and that's aligning with their readers, then that really helps. So that's the who bit. The what is what it is that you're actually talking about. What are you doing? What are you celebrating? What are you announcing? And that needs to be really clear and really succinct, and they need to understand what that is really quickly. The where is this happening? So is it local? Is it national? Is it global? When, literally, it's happening this week, this month, this year. And the why is a little bit of a taster of why this is needed, of why it's necessary, or why your story has kind of driven you to do this. So a little taster of, I suppose, the depth behind what it is that you're doing. So if we're thinking about this point, number 2, the value of the press release makes you press ready. You've got to understand how to write that press release properly so that you are challenging yourself and so that the content that you're providing is good enough for the media. Okay, so number three. Number three reason why the press release isn't dead is because the press release puts you in control. And this is something that we've really enjoyed teaching on the program, actually, because you find that people build their confidence when they realize that they can control their message to a certain degree. So I think a lot of fear around PR comes in the worry of what a journalist is going to do with your information. It comes with the worry of what if it's misrepresented? What if they take a different angle on it? What if it just doesn't come across how you want it? But if you write a great press release, it puts you in control of that message because, like we said, if you write a great press release, it gets copied and pasted. So literally, the crafted words that you have come up with of how you want to present yourself are the words that journalist uses. So you are 100% in control. And there is nothing more powerful than that. You choosing how to communicate your message and that message getting used word for word. So there's something in putting a bit of effort behind this to make sure that actually you were in control of your message, because why wouldn't you want that? Like, that's a perfect way to really present yourself in the best possible light. So yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't want that. Okay, so number 4. When we're talking about why the press release isn't dead, I do want to just reflect on the fact that some people don't like press releases. So the point we're going to deal with in number 4 is that those who don't like press releases never did. So there are some people who don't like press releases. There are people that will tell you that the press release is dead. And that's because they don't believe in them and they don't like using them. So there are some media who just don't respond to press releases just because that style doesn't suit their publication. So a press release is an announcement. It's providing information. It's providing news. It's providing content that is timely usually. So for media that don't work in that way, the press release doesn't suit them. So for media that are much more feature-led or discussion-led or topic-led or tips-led, then a press release doesn't suit them because they would never publish it as a press release. So the power of a press release is when the content is exactly what the media needs and they can lift it and they can use it just like that. When it's not powerful is when you send it to someone who would never write that kind of content in the first place. So if there's nowhere for them to put that content as a news story, then they're not going to use it. They've got no use for it. So don't try and send the press release to people who don't like to receive press releases. If their content is much more feature-led, if it's more discussion-led, if it's more likely that you're going to get coverage if you write some tips, then do that. Don't try and force feed a press release to someone who doesn't want it, because that's when you'll start to feel a bit soul destroyed, because that's when you will just get blanket, well, probably you'll be ignored. You probably don't even get a nose if you just send press release to people who it's not appropriate to. Okay, so number 4 does deal with the fact that there are some press release not lovers, but there's a reason for that, as we just explained. But number 5 deals with the power of press release in the new world. So the power of press release in the new world is that actually the press release can really provide quick coverage for you. And a way that it can do this is with online news sites. So there's a number now of news sites that are online that enable you and allow you to actually upload content. So there are websites that are news sites, news sources that really like to receive information online. So they like you to input your story through their website or to send it through a certain form. And they like that to be a ready written news story. So you can see the benefit of this, that you could get instant coverage, again, exactly word for word as you have written it, if you do nail the power of the press release. So it's one of those where, yes, the press release works in traditional ways of communicating with the media. But actually, these days, a press release also provides you with online coverage in a totally new way. So for those sites that enable you to upload news, then when you've written your press release, then you are good to go, because you have your ready-made story right there, and you now have a platform which will literally enable you to copy and paste it yourself and to get published. So that's pretty exciting, right? I'd say that is actually probably one of the most exciting elements of really getting your head around a press release, because it can potentially give you instant PR and something that you are absolutely 100% in control of. So I hope that has given you enough ammunition now to believe that the press release is not dead. So if you read that headline in places, if you hear people talking about it being an outdated tool, if you hear people dismissing it as a PR tool that kind of doesn't work these days, I would challenge you to challenge that, because in all of those reasons that we've just explained, there's so much power in a press release, and it's definitely got a job to do. If you write it right, it can really open doors for you, and it will 100% put you in control of your message. So that's why I still love a press release, and I really think it's a PR tool for you to get your head around. So this is something that we teach in all of our programs. So in our Dare to Be Seen program is particularly where we focus on this. So if you wanted to come and get involved in that the next time we run it, then obviously it would be a pleasure to have you. If you just want to come and hang out with us and get a feel for the kind of PR that comes from press releases, come and hang out in our free group. And that's where you will be able to see the results from the press releases. So in there, we do share a lot of coverage from our clients, and those pieces of coverage often do come from a press release. So you'll start to be able to see the end result of actually the work that a press release can do. So if you're not there, come and join us. And I really hope it's given you a little bit of food for thought. And I am going to leave you there for today. So it's a short and sweet one. It was just something that I really felt like I wanted to talk about, and felt like it was something that I just wanted to throw out there. And I'm hoping that actually the title of this might pull a few people in who do believe that a press release is dead, and maybe I can change their mind. So I'm going to leave you there. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to PR Powerhouse with me, Jo Swan. If you want to feel empowered and supported and excited about getting in the press, come and join us in our free community over on Facebook at PR You Can Do It. I would absolutely love to see you there, so I can help you take those next steps to getting in the media.